Hey, coaches. Coach E here with 8-Man Breakdowns. Let's get started. Today, we're going to continue my How to Use Hudl series with episode number 2. In today's episode, we'll get into inputting data, and I'll talk about what I think are the more important data entries to put in, especially if you're one who doesn't have time to put in all of your data, or you don't have an assistant that's ever put in data before, or if you don't have the funds to use Hudl Assist either. So step number 1, we'll get right into it. The first step is to select your video playlist. So after opening up the video library tab in that top left-hand corner, now you'll go all the way over to the right-hand side and click on the playlist that you wish to input your data on. All right, so in this video GIF cut up that I have here, I click that video library tab in the top left, then I come over to the right, and I'm clicking on 2012 K-State versus Oklahoma, and that's the video I'll use for examples in today's video. Step number 2, begin putting in your ODK data. All right, so this is where the data is actually going to get started. So the first thing I do is go in ODK every single play. And for those of you that don't know what that is or are completely new to Hudl, I'll summarize. So ODK is offense, defense, and kick, which is basically any special teams play. So each letter indicates which phase of the game is occurring on that play for whatever team you're breaking down. All right, so that's whether it's an opponent or your own team. ODK means the same thing for every breakdown. So the fourth symbol that I didn't get into is S, which I honestly still don't even know what it stands for yet, but I always use it for PATs. So, and now let me show you here in this GIF real quick. So Oklahoma was kicking off to start the game on play number 2 there. So I put K. And then Kansas State has the ball. So on each offensive play, they have the ball, which is why I labeled it O. Now, if they would punt the ball, it would be K. So K is K for each team. No matter what, if it's a special teams play on the field, K is the symbol we use. Then if K-State's offense is on O, their defense will be labeled by the symbol D. And then S, like I said, is extra points for either team. All right. So that's step 2, adding the ODK data for each play. Step number 3. So my next step here is sorting the offense and then putting in formation data. So personally, though, what I do is watch the game in its entirety without restarting a play. That would be my third step. And I'd go through and take notes for some of the plays, and that's me just watching to see what stands out to me as a spectator before I dive deeper. But my true third step here is, after watching it all the way through, is to sort by the ODK offense and start adding each offensive formation to the data. Just as you can see me doing here in my GIF. So in this case, I have Kansas State on offense. So that first play, once it restarts, I have strong eye, which is a butt cam replay. Then they're in an ace. Then I have ace left with the tight end attached, and then empty formation. So there you go. So ODK, select the O, then type in the offensive formation. That's been my step number 3. Step number 4, sort by the offensive formation data I just put in, and then put in the play type and the play direction. So after you go and sort the formation, or sort by formation, it's going to align it alphabetically. So starting with ace formation is that first play there. This is where I enter in the data for each play type, run or pass, and each play direction left to right. So just as you can see me doing in my GIF here, the first play, Colin Klein hands off to John Hubert to the left. So we put in play type run, play direction left. All right. So, and then you continue on with the following plays. This helps me with my next step to already know what type of play I'm looking at and focus on pass routes or run blocks to identify which play concept the opponent's running. So it just makes it easier going into the next step. And the directional data, honestly, is just extra to me. So I can see if they follow one side of their offensive line more in the run game, or if they throw to this specific receiver on the left side more, to the right side, whatever it is. All right. So that's just kind of extra. You don't have to do all of these. But anyway, that would be my step number 4. So step number 5, sort by that play type data, pass or run, like we just put in, and then put in the play name. Okay, so once again, it's going to align it alphabetical order. So pass is a P, comes before R in the alphabet. So pass is first. So this is where I now enter in the data for each offensive play name. And I personally don't put like an actual name on it. I just put the play concept, and then I'll tag whatever we refer to it as. All right, so in this case, let's see. That first play, we have ace, power G. All right, so the guard pulls. It's a power handoff to the running back going to the left side, which we already put the directional data in. All right. And then that next play there is an empty quarterback draw. Once again, we already had the directional data in to the left. So there you go. That's those first two plays and how I entered them in. Step number 6, take off the sorting, go back to play number 1 and just go in order by numbers. And now we're going to start putting in down and distance and yardage gained or lost. All right. So this one is actually a little bit easier or faster. So you start off with the first play of that drive, which is always 1st and 10. All right. It's automatically 1st and 10. And then, as you can see on that first play right there, here's Colin Klein. He runs it for 7 yards. So you put in 7, and then it automatically sets the second play after that, the next play, for 2nd down and 3. All right. And now Colin Klein takes off running here, picks up about 12 yards. So I put in 12. That's more than 3. It automatically turned into that third play into 1st and 10 once again. All right. So that's why down and distance and gain loss is a little faster than some of these others, because it automatically will update the down and distance for you as you put in the yards gained and lost. All right. That's step 6. Step number 7. Now we're going to sort by our yardage gained and lost. You wouldn't necessarily have to do this, but it's a little easier in my opinion. So then we're going to start putting in efficiency. All right. And efficiency is actually, you have to add it as a column if you want. And this is completely optional. You don't have to do this. I do it because it helps me decide what plays for their offense were more efficient than some of the others. All right. So this one's basically pretty simple. Was the play efficient or not? The only enter or data you can enter in is the letter Y or the letter N. Y for yes, N for no. And I personally draw my line for efficiency on a play at 4 yards when I'm scouting my opponent. So if a team gains 4 yards or more, according to the gain and loss data that I entered in, I would put the Y for yes if they gain more than 4 or 4. And I would consider that an efficient play. The reason I consider it 4 yards or more, I draw the line there, is because if you get 3 gains or 3 plays in a row, you gain at least 4 yards, then that's 1st down. Now, if you gain anything under that, 3 plays in a row, and it's only 3 yards a play, then that's 4th down and 1 at minimum, or at best, if you only got 3 yards tops per play. So that's not a 1st down. Depending on where you're at, that's most likely a punt. And so in this case, that's why I draw the line at 4 yards. So obviously, if it's a negative player, they gain 3 yards or less, I put in N for not efficient. All right. Like I said, this is completely optional. It just helps me to identify their more efficient plays, I guess you could say, obviously, since that's the efficiency data. All right. So that's step number 7. Let's move on to step 8. Step 8. Okay. So this is actually our final step. This is where you add annotations and notes. And then when you're completely finished with that, you'll hit that share button. So finally, after you've added all your data, this is where you share out the film with every other coach on staff. And this is where they can also watch the film with all the data that you now have entered in, and they can even add annotations and notes of anything that might catch their eye when they watch it. All right. And then after they've done that, once again, this takes us to the final step of just sharing the video. All right. So the final step is click that blue share button in the top right hand corner and share your finished project with all with all your players or just selected coaches or position groups, however you want to do it. If you share it with individual groups, that's perfectly fine. If you share it with just a specific couple coaches, that's perfectly fine too. But once again, remember, if you haven't seen my last video about how to add annotations and notes, I'll leave a link in that to the script or in the description. I'll leave a link to that in the description. But if you have not seen it, I'll give you one more tidbit of information from it. Is if you do type in an annotation or a note, every single time you type in one, you have to share it out to your players once again. So if you've shared out the video to them already, and then you go back in and add a note or an annotation, it's not going to be seen by them until you reshare it. So you always, and whenever you're finished adding annotations and notes, you have to reshare it. All right. So that's something I've learned over the years as well. All right. And that is the final step. And that's actually going to wrap up this video. So that is going to wrap up the 2nd episode of how to use Hudl, focusing on inputting all data offensively. Remember, if you guys have any questions for me, be sure to comment your question on this video, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. If you enjoyed the video or learned something new, please click subscribe and check out some of my previous videos here. Again, you guys, this is all free. And like always, guys, thanks for watching.